Since the release of its first season back in August of 2014, it didn't take long for Outlander to become the biggest period piece drama in the history of the Starz network. And with the fantastic pairing of Sam Heughan alongside Katrina Balfe, there was really no surprise. But what similar shows will be there for fans when season 6 ends? And how might they fill the Outlander hole? For all this and more, stay tuned. First up on our list is Bridgerton, which is no doubt Netflix's answer to the extreme popularity that Outlander has gathered over the years. So if you're looking for another steamy period piece, Bridgerton most certainly has your best interests at heart. The show revolves around specific members of the Bridgerton family and actually comes in the form of an adaptation of a rather famous set of Julia Quinn novels. In other words, you can expect some fantastic writing coupled with twists and turns that are sure to make your heart flutter. It must also be said that each season of the show is intended to focus on a different main character. Think of it like an anthology of sorts. But rather than having these same cast members portraying a host of different characters, you simply have the camera shifting focus to take on another set of storylines. This means that viewers of Bridgerton will always be surprised by what lies around the corner. And if season 2 is anything like the first, this will be a combination of sex, drama, and quippy remarks. So if you're really looking to get that Outlander itch fixed, hop on over to Netflix and give the first season a try. It follows the love story between Daphne Bridgerton, as portrayed by Phoebe Dynevor, and Simon Bassett, brought to life by the charismatic Regé-Jean Page. There are many reasons why this quickly became the most popular show of the quarantine period, so prepare to swoon. Next up, we have Doctor Who of the BBC. And while this might be surprising to those Outlander fans who decided to stick around for the love story, we have to remember that Claire and Jamie only met each other because of some time-traveling mayhem. As such, Doctor Who is basically Outlander without the kilts. For those of you who don't know, the science fiction show is actually one of the longest-running series on British television, which is a tad strange considering how the plot revolves around a time-traveling alien who travels between certain periods in an attempt to save the past, present, and future from different threats. Funny enough, Jamie Fraser actually owes his name to the show. At least that's what author Diana Gabaldon told fans at Comic-Con a few years ago. You see, one of the most popular Doctor Who seasons featured the Doctor traveling alongside a Scottish Highlander by the name of Fraser Hines. And when Diana saw this hunky kilt wearer in a science fiction setting, she knew she had to write about it. As it turns out, we would have never been able to set our eyes on Outlander if it wasn't for Doctor Who in the first place. So why not give the fantastic time-traveling show a chance? As one of the longest-running franchises to date, there's a lot to love about Doctor Who, like the fact that each couple of seasons, the actor portraying the alien changes. And while the romance isn't as steamy, it's definitely a good time. The Spanish Princess is another fantastic show with Outlander vibes, which isn't all surprising since you can find it right next to your favorite series on the Starz network. There is unfortunately no time travel in this one, but if you're looking for a dramatic period piece revolving around murder, sex, and betrayal, you're most certainly in the right place. The Spanish Princess, like Outlander, is based on a selection of classic novels from the hand of Philippa Gregory, and while she wasn't involved in the production of the show, fans of her writing will find a lot to rave about in the 2 seasons that have already been released by the network. The franchise revolves around the life of Catherine of Aragon, who is portrayed perfectly by the beautiful Charlotte Hope, and as a teenage princess, there's a lot that she has to deal with, like being the wife of history's very own Henry VIII, as brought to life by Rory O'Connor. Fans of Outlander will see a lot of similarities between the shows. While the periods are certainly different, there's characters in old-timely clothing swooning over one another like there's no tomorrow. Suffice to say, being the first wife of such a ruthless man hasn't stopped the Spanish princess from having as much fun as possible. Talk about scandalous! And more importantly, it's another one of those few period piece dramas that are actually being told from the perspective of a woman, something we all came to love about certain episodes of Outlander. If you're missing the grit of your favorite show though, take a look at Black Sails. This is for those Outlander fans who fell in love with the action sequences of the show while watching it with their their significant other. And while it may be true that Black Sails too has its fair share of romance, it's by no means the crux of the show. Set in the 1700s, Black Sails follows the lives of a couple of pirates who want nothing more than to adventure across the globe and find more treasure than any man can lay his hands on. But what makes it really fun is just how much it has in common with another novel. We are, of course, referring to Treasure Island from Robert Louis Stevenson. The show actually takes place before the events of the book and introduces fans to a number of popular characters for the first time. This includes the likes of Captain Flint in the form of Toby Stevens, Billy Bonds, played by none other than Tom Hopper, and Long John Silver, brought to life by the fantastic Luke Arnold. So if you wanted to watch an action-packed adventure set in the Caribbean, Black Sails is definitely the show for you. It might not have the emerald green fields of Outlander set in the distance, but we're sure you'll find more than enough similarities between the shows to keep you hooked. Probably best to not watch it with your parents though, as the sex scenes can get pretty wild. We told you you'd like it. Oh, and we can't forget about Timeless, another time-traveling show that Outlander owes its inception to. For those of you who have never heard about this masterpiece, stay tuned, as we're about to change your life. Ever wonder what would happen if a soldier, historian, and tech guru stepped inside a top-secret time machine so they could stop a group of bad guys from changing the past? Well, that's exactly what you get from this incredible franchise from the mind of Eric Kripke, and responsible for both Supernatural and The Boys. The great thing about the series is that each episode features a different time period, which really gave the writers some space to come out with some incredible storylines. It must also be said that Timeless sets itself apart from other time-traveling shows, and that it doesn't overreach on the historical characters it introduces. Rather than hitting hard at low-hanging fruit like Abraham Lincoln or Genghis Khan, it explores the contribution of lesser-known figures that are just as important. In other words, you won't just be having a great time with watching the show, you'll also be learning something. And did we mention that there's a pretty impressive lover's arc between the soldier, portrayed by Matt Lanter, and historian, brought to life by Abigail Spencer? If that doesn't tickle your fancy, we're not sure what will. But either way, there's only 2 full seasons to cover, so if you're looking for a show to hold you over, Timeless is it. Last but not least, let's talk about A Discovery of Witches, another period piece drama that is sure to scratch your Outlander itch while waiting for season 7 to come. Like the majority of the titles on this list, A Discovery of Witches is based on some of the best literary work from the modern era. We are, of course, referring to the All Souls trilogy from author Deborah Harkness, which follows the adventures of a pair of academics from Oxford. As the title suggests, you'll find a lot more supernatural in this show than Outlander deals with, especially with the main characters out to protect a bewitched manuscript from the forces of evil. But it's the love story between Diana, as portrayed by Teresa Palmer, and Matthew, brought to life by Matthew Good, that really reminds us of our favorite period piece. Things are obviously a little different, considering how Diana's a witch and Matthew's a vampire, but all's fair in love and war, right? Suffice to say, A Discovery of Witches is a show that's sure to give you what you're looking for, even if the exposition might not grab the usual Outlander fan. And there you have it. Just some of the shows you can rely on when season 6 of Outlander unfortunately comes to an end. Which franchise will you be trying in the future though? And are there any others we forgot? Be sure to let us know in the comments section down below.